Alright, so, you're here to learn how to play the Foot Soldier class, correct? I take your blank stare and amazing hair as yes. Greetings. They call me Dry, and I'll be your professor today. Before we start class, here are the topics that we'll be covering in today's unit. Class starts now. The Foot Soldier class is the zombie's all-around damage dealer. It does not matter where a Foot Soldier is on the map. He could still apply immense pressure from simply existing on the map. Most zombie classes have weak points at specific ranges. Let's take the Imp class for an example. The Imp class at range sucks. He has low health, not much mobility, and his reticle expands like an open peanut.
Why you bullying me?
However, for Foot Soldier, there's a plant at long range, pow, they're getting lasered. Someone's at medium range, pow, they're getting beamed. Someone in your face, blam, they're getting ZPG'd. Oh wait, we're not on that chapter yet. The Foot Soldier class excels at taking care of the high ground. With one press of a button, Foot Soldier could zoom to any elevated position of its choosing. The Foot Soldier was known back in his prime as a 1v1 warrior. When encountering a plant one-on-one, your chances of winning are already in your favor by at least 54%. The reasoning behind this is every Foot Soldier's primary was built for targeting one single target, not groups. So, if you see a plant all alone, run up right to them and show them why they call you the Foot Soldier. Do you know those sayings? Bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly, pizza and cheese. Well, for Foot Soldier, that is a roof. A Foot Soldier on a roof has to be one of the most scary sightings in all of Garden Warfare 2. They just sit there, waiting for their eventuate prey, and then bam! Half their health lasered off them. The Foot Soldier's wheelchair, more so known as his rocket jump, allows him to succeed to any high ground with a press of a finger. This is very important to keep note of since Foot Soldier's entire kit is based around succeeding high ground. If you aren't going on any rooftop or high ground as Foot Soldier, you're just nerfing yourself. You are the best class at blowing up P-Gatlings and Sunbeams. With a stationary ability being in your line of sight, take it out at all costs from one ZPG. That is your job. That is your #1 role. If you see any sort of P-Gatling or Sunbeam, take it out at all costs. If it's using your primary or most importantly, your ZPG. Speaking of jobs, drones. You are by far the best character class at dealing with those pesky onions in the sky. All it takes is you looking above them, spraying it, and then profit. Of course, this depends on the variant you're playing as. So if you're playing as Tank Commander, then scratch everything I said. But 90% of the time, it is your job. You are not the class suitable for taking on groups. Each Foot Soldier variant specializes on taking on 1v1s, not 1v2s, not 1v3s, and definitely not 1v4s.
But Dry, I'm good at the game and I could take it.
Hey, bad mindset. Listen, it doesn't take much to be better than me at this game. But please do not charge head-on into a group of plants. If you do spot a group of plants, wait for a teammate to back you up, or better yet, just run away. Being a coward is completely okay. If you're still alive, then you're still alive. If I had to name the Foot Soldier's biggest counter, cacti. Cacti from long range. If a cactus spots you from long range, go to the other side of the map. They can take away half your health from a simple click of a button. Of course, at short and medium range distances, your matchup is fairly even. But at the longest possible range, I would always recommend keeping your distance and trying to sneak up on the cactus. The Foot Soldier's first ability is called Zombie Stink Cloud, or what I call it, Lean Bomb. The Foot Soldier uses his right arm to throw a gigantic cloud to wherever it lands upon. If this cloud comes in contact with any type of plant, they will take 2 damage per second. However, if the cloud comes in contact with any potted plant, that potted plant will be unable to attack for as long as your stink cloud is on them. When walking into a stink cloud, your spotting icon is still visible to all plants. So no, you're not being stealthy from hiding in your cloud. The unwalkable variant for this ability is called Super Stink Cloud, or what I call it, Super Lean Bomb. The difference between Super Lean Bomb and Lean Bomb are the following. Instead of 2 damage per second, Super deals 5. The size is notably smaller. The lifetime duration is 5 seconds less. And lastly, the ability cooldown is 45 seconds, while base Stink Cloud is 29 seconds. The best use for Stink Cloud would be blinding potted plants and area denial. An example of area denial would be me throwing my Stink Cloud here. Me throwing my Stink Cloud here forced the plant not to walk over there due to the damage taken over time, which resulted in me getting an extra vanquish. I would highly recommend not to throw your Stink Cloud onto capture points. This is due to your cloud blocking you and your team's vision as well as the plants. Overall, I would use Super Stink Cloud over Reg Stink Cloud. The 5 damage makes a big difference rather than its base Stink Cloud's 2 damage. However, if you're more focused on area denial, regular Stink Cloud is your better option due to its wider radius. The Foot Soldier's second ability is called Rocket Jump. Upon pressing Rocket Jump, you will launch at a high vertical distance into the sky. This ability is best used for launching yourself to an elevated location such as rooftops or sniping spots. The unwalkable variant for this ability is called Rocket Leap. The differences between Rocket Leap and Rocket Jump are the following. Rocket Leap could be used twice, while Rocket Jump could only be used once. Rocket Leap sends you at a horizontal distance while having a lower vertical distance. While Rocket Jump is used for its height, Rocket Leap is used for its movement. The best example of this would be the assistance of a tech titled Rocket Boosting. If the Foot Soldier is to press Rocket Leap, release all movement options, then spam the jump button, he will be faster than Lightning McQueen himself. While rocket boosting, you can still use your primary and look around. However, pressing any movement key such as your left control stick or WASD will cancel the rocket boost. A rocket jump may also perform a rocket boost. However, this is done a little differently. Upon pressing Rocket Jump, hold backwards for not even a fraction of a second. Hold forward for 1 second, then release all movement options, then spam jump. If you're using Rocket Jump, it is best to use this ability for its height advantage whenever possible. And meanwhile, with Rocket Leap, focus on mastering how to rocket boost as quick as possible. One more big tip with Rocket Leap. With Rocket Leap having a charge of 2, I would recommend using one for rocket boosting and always pocketing the other. Use your pocketed Rocket Leap for either engaging into a fight, another rocket boost, height advantage, or simply just running away. One last crucial tip for both Rocket Jump and Rocket Leap would be to jump before using the ability. This will increase the height of the rocket jump or leap by a small amount. There is no reason why you shouldn't be doing this. It's very easy and very beneficial. And lastly, here are the recharge times for each ability. The Foot Soldier's third ability is called ZPG. From pressing ZPG, the Foot Soldier will bend over and after 1 second fire a very powerful rocket that deals 300 damage from any distance. While firing up the ZPG, the Foot Soldier is slower and loses the ability to jump. To avoid being a sitting duck while firing a ZPG, I would recommend pressing jump and then ZPG. The ZPG has 3 main uses. The most common use would be targeting stationary targets such as Gatlings and sunbeams. Its second use would be for ZPGing a plant close by. A ZPG is best used when a plant is right in your face. The reason for this would be, one good hit is all it takes for you to steal the fight. Its final main use would be as a finisher. If a plant is around a corner and you know they're on low health, fire a ZPG on the ground. A ZPG has a maximum of 50 splash damage, and for splash damage, that makes for a great finisher tool. Now that we went over the best way to use ZPG, here is the worst way to use ZPG. Launching a ZPG at long distance. If you are trying to snipe with a ZPG, this will 90% of the time never work. And let's just say, oh hey, my long distance ZPG hit. That's great, Jerry. Now try it again. As a foot soldier, you have to understand the art of respect. In Garden Warfare 2, there is no indicator to when a player has an ability. So hypothetically, you're in a battle. If you're saving the ZPG for an up-close encounter, the plant has to respect that and not challenge you up close. Pocket your ZPG and master the art of intimidation. A good Garden Warfare 2 player will not challenge you up close while knowing you have a get out of jail free card. The ZPG is also prone to...
Idiot.
That's fortunate.
Whoa, just...
All the danger.
Ho ho ho. And I got a fake DPG. Oh. What? Oh my god. Okay, that hit 300 damage and nothing. Rah, rescue team. I just. What?
Yeah. The reason of this occurring would be a ping issue. For an example, if I were playing in the NA East region with the lowest ping compared to Europe being my highest ping, this issue is more prone to happen in Europe due to the ping being higher. ZPG may also be used to burrow cancel chompers. This, however, is not consistent in the slightest. However, I will still showcase how it's done. Stand on a completely flat surface, aim slightly down, ZPG, and then pray. You will not burrow cancel the chomper 100% of the time, and most times you will just flat out die. So it is best to just rocket leap away from the piranha plant. My last ZPG tip would be how to aim it. While aiming a ZPG, you have to predict the plant. In most case scenarios, the plant will have three options, either jumping, moving left, or moving right. You have to act quick and predict what the plant will do. This is a complete guessing game, so if you missed, you just guessed wrong. Tough luck. The unlockable variant for this ability is called multi-rocket, which takes everything we just went over and throws it in the complete trash. A multi-rocket, rather than firing one massive rocket, fires 4 mini rockets dealing relatively low damage. The multi-rocket is the foot soldier's main finisher option due to its high burst and splash damage. However, you're sacrificing the almighty zombie powerful gun for the puny launcher 9000. And lastly, here are the recharge times for each ability. You can do anything. No, seriously. This character can deal 10 damage at close range, 6 damage from the lowest range, and a relatively easy primary to hit. While aiming with Reg Soldier from long and mid range, try to predict where the plant will go by aiming your reticle to where you think the plant will go. However, if you're close range, just aim at the reticle right on the plant. If you find yourself missing tons of shots, I'd recommend a strategy called tap firing. A tap firing is when you're shooting, letting go of your primary for a fraction of a second, then firing right afterwards. As Reg Soldier, don't be scared to rush down plants. You deal 10 damage, 10. This could obliterate any 125 health character to the ground. And lastly, here is your recommended upgrade loadout. Damage and reload are mandatory upgrades, but you could use your third slot for either ammo, speed, or health. And me personally, I've always used health upgrade. You are debatably the best character in the entire game. 66 damage possible from an entire clip, and almost instant reload, insane fire rate, and really good range damage. You're better off staying at a mid or long range distance. Your range damage is spectacular, so be as annoying as possible with that. For Commando Super's aiming, keep your reticle on the plant while aiming at any range. Commando Super's bullet speed is quicker than I last in bed. With this in mind, you're always better off walking the reticle on the plant rather than predicting movement. And always remember, keep spamming. You have one of the quickest reloads in the entire game, so you have little to no penalty to keep spamming your primary 24/7. And lastly, here is your recommended upgrade loadout. You are a weaker reg soldier, but gaining the ability to freeze. Don't underestimate your freeze time either. If you're able to land your shot, you will freeze a plant in just about 15 shots. You also have a freeze to ZPG combo. However, the window is quite strict, so you're better off just firing more shots at that frozen plant. Also, you could do this combo, which is relatively way funnier. The same as Reg Soldier, while aiming from long and mid-range, try to predict where the plant will go by aiming your reticle to where you think they will go. However, if you're in their ass, just aim the reticle right on the plant. Also, remember, you're an elemental character, which means any sort of sunflower healing will cancel your entire gimmick, so be careful. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. This upgrade loadout is pretty much mandatory. Using anything else, you're basically nerfing Arctic Trooper. This character could be very difficult to play as. If your accuracy isn't at least semi-decent, you won't be rewarded. A tank commander's main gimmick is having 65 damage with only 1 ammo inside of his clip. Aiming with Tank Commander is very difficult, so here's my best piece of advice while aiming. If you are mid-range against a plant, try to predict where the plant is going to walk, rather than hovering your reticle over the plant. Of course, if you're right in their face, just hover your reticle over the plant and watch them explode. And my last piece of advice is to try to be at a higher ground, since if you do miss any shots, you're at least guaranteed a little bit of splash damage.
Oh, you want round 2, Dry Bones? Let's go, buddy. Let's go. Come on. You how does bro have like aim by aim? You're down here. There you are. There you are. Yeah!
And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. This loadout is mandatory, and using anything else, you're basically nerfing Tank Commander. You have the highest rate of fire in your class. However, this is sacrificed by having an overheating weapon. The longer you hold down your primary, the wider your reticle will spread out outwards. This will make your weapon less accurate. To avoid this, I like using a strategy called tap firing. This is a firing your primary, letting go for not even a second, then firing your primary. This will allow your reticle to stay in the sweet spot of not being too big, which is what my girlfriend tells me. For aiming wise, close and mid range, I just shove the reticle on the plant. But from long range, I predict their movement. It will also be better to play General Supremo like a turret. And this means staying mid-range and just tap firing at any plant in your reticle. A General Supremo is very accurate while zooming in, so keep note of that. A General Supremo's main weakness is... yeah. General Supremo unfortunately cannot jump while firing, which is why you should, again, always be tap firing. I would only recommend jump firing as General Supremo only when there is a plant right up your ass. The reason for this is you don't lose much accuracy and makes it harder for the plant player to hit you. From mid and long range distance, jump firing makes your shots very inaccurate, so I would advise never doing so. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. Damage and overheat are mandatory. Speed could be swapped for health upgrade if you wish. A Camo Ranger is one of the most underrated characters in the entire game. He's advertised as a sniper since, you know, hence his name. However, he could be played at any range. Due to his primary wielding a heavy 15 to 18 damage at any range, why wouldn't you? A Camo Ranger's primary weapon by default also has the ability to pierce through multiple plants, which means if there are 2 plants standing directly behind each other, you could hit both of them. While aiming as Camo Ranger, hover your reticle over the plant. His bullets travel faster than my grandma, and mind you, she has arthritis. Another strong trait Camo Ranger has is his reticle not moving while spamming shots. which means, yes, there is no penalty to just spamming shots. A Camo Ranger doesn't have many weaknesses due to him being one of the most versatile variants in the entire game. If I had to point out one, it would be not to jump while shooting due to your reticle spreading harder than my girlfriend's, and here is your recommended upgrade loadout. If you're wondering why we don't use penetration upgrade, well, when in the hell is this ever going to happen? Sky Trooper is he's just Reg Soldier with some new clothing. However, he's still very different from him in many ways, so let's go over those ways. Sky Trooper is the rushdown variant of the Foot Soldier class, and is everything General Supremo wishes he could be. With his rate of fire being a gorilla balls, he could melt almost the entire plant class if they're up his bum. If you're firing from range, I would recommend tap firing for a slightly more accurate reticle. However, where Sky Trooper really goes a gorilla balls is when he's up someone's bum. 9 damage per headshot with this fire rate is not fun to fight against. While aiming as Sky Trooper, he follows mutual to Reg Soldier and Arctic Trooper. From mid and long range distance, try to predict where the plant is going. However, if you're up their bum, then slam the reticle in their face. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. The Centurion isn't all that good, so let's go over his resume. The Centurion is pretty much Camo Ranger, but with a fire enhancement. He has a relatively low rate of fire and not the highest damage in the world, but he makes up for it with the fire damage effect. You could play this character like such a wuss by lighting up the entire team on fire. Of course, you won't be getting many kills from this playstyle, but that's why we call this playstyle the wuss. The Centurion excels at the mid and long range, and with the wuss playstyle, I consider him to fall under the controller role. He's great at preventing plants from healing and at providing chip damage for his team to finish off any kill. While aiming with the Centurion, it's best to just always lock on your reticle to the plant no matter the range. Your bullet speed is faster than lighting a McQueen on a hot summer night, so don't worry about missing any shots. Also, remember, you're an elemental character, which means any sort of sunflower healing will cancel your entire gimmick. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. Fire and reload are your mandatory slots, however slot 3 could be exchanged for either ammo, health, or speed. The Pork Ranger, yeah? Why did I go Brit? The Pork Ranger is the most bleh Foot Soldier variant. His role on the battlefield is very aggressive, but not succeeding in that role too well. He owns an 18-shot primary with relatively fast reload speed. However, his gimmick is leaving fart clouds on the ground. If a plant is to walk in the proximity of this fart cloud, they take an plethora of 2 damage, which is very good against the bigger plants such as Citron and Torchwood due to having no choice but to stand in the fart cloud. While aiming with Park Ranger, this one's very important. He is one of the few hit scans in the game. Hit scan means no matter the range, no matter the distance, if you point and click on a plant, they will take your shot no matter what. With this in mind, always keep your reticle on the plant and fire. Your shot will always hit no matter what. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. Scuba Soldier! Personally, I love this guy. Scuba is a hard, aggressive character, while dealing a hefty 60 damage if he's able to hit a direct shot up close. With a generous splash, any shot Scuba throws out, it's more than likely to hit a plant. Of course, the damage may not be the highest, but you will be marked as the most annoying zombie on the team. Speaking of marking, let's talk about Scuba Soldier's entire gimmick. Scuba wields 2 shots, and if a plant is to get marked by the sonar he leaves on the ground, he could view that plant through walls for a short period of time. Keep in mind, only you could see that plant through walls. With a relatively fast reload and a high splash damage radius, it's best as Scuba Soldier to just spam shots wherever you go. If you are mid-range against a plant, try to predict where the plant is going to walk, rather than hovering your reticle over the plant. Of course, if you're right in their face, just hover your reticle over the plant and watch them explode. Try to be at a higher ground, since if you do miss any shots, you're at least guaranteed a little bit of splash damage. If Scuba Soldier is fighting a character with 125 health up close, he could double direct and then use the Super Stink Cloud ability to snag a free Stink Cloud kill. This is purely after playing with your food, but me personally, I love doing it. It's just pretty funny. Scuba Soldier also has an incredibly helpful tech that allows him to shoot 2 shots at the same time. If Scuba Soldier is to fire his primary, rocket jump, or leap, then spam his primary, he is able to shoot twice as fast. This is an incredibly unexpected option for those who aren't aware of this incredibly goofy tech. And here is your recommended upgrade loadout. Damage and reload are your 2 mandatory upgrades, while your 3rd slot could be either for health or speed. The sonar upgrade, sadly, is almost completely useless. A class dismissed. Hey dryers, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. As I'm recording this outro part, I'm pretty sick, so excuse my voice. This video has been in production for an entire month now. An entire month, with the script being 4,000 words, of recording said script, getting gameplay, and then editing everything all together. It was all just such a long process, especially cutting out on my stutter. I tried my very best to not have it in the video at all, so if you still heard it, then I'm very sorry. If you'd like more videos like this in the future, me going over a specific character class in depth, please tell me in the comment section on which character class you would like me to go over. And also, thank you so much for my channel members who are on screen right now. You all rock. Seriously, I thank you so much. And yeah, that's about it. So catch your rockers in the next one. Bye bye.